Having shelled out $20 to see just 3 Jeff Koons works at the Met this spring, I must admit I felt a little gypped. By contrast, with the €10 I spent at his Versailles show, I felt like I'd won the Euro Millions jackpot. 17 sculptures were installed with so many winks, nods, and virtual parentheses, I felt like I'd been sent on a treasure hunt. Take, for example, the shiny, inflatable-looking rabbit found in the Salon de l'Abondance. With a little investigation, I discovered that the room served 2 functions for the king, displaying precious objects and holding buffets. No doubt the rabbit installation alludes to both. Behind glass, it stands like a proud collectible trophy in the center of the room. But in the eating chambers in the king's hunting palace, where lapin is a delicacy, it's hard not to view the rabbit, with its carrot in its hand, as dinner. It's all part of the fun. And while it may just be me, doesn't Louis de France in the portrait behind Rabbit look like he's about to say, "Wascally wabbit"? Walk into the Venus room, and the odd Hollywood couple, Michael Jackson and Bubbles, jumps into view, their matching golden outfits reflecting the room's gilded molding. So, is this the Venus ideal of love, centuries after the chateau was built? Venus doesn't seem to think so. Her depiction is looking on as if to say, "What the hell?" In fact, that's precisely what the crowd around me was saying. Despite the show's success, I heard a lot of "Qu'est-ce qui fait là, ça?" in the room around me, and the docent giving the tour acted as though Michael and the monkey weren't even there. She didn't even mention them. You'd think it would be hard to miss the elephant or balloon dog in the room, but as you can see by this photo, most people were just looking around it. So why was it that I felt like the only one really actually enjoying the show? Much like Warhol, Jeff Koons has made a career out of projecting American icons. But even in the midst of globalization, the reaction of the viewers around me gave cause to ask, are these icons as universal as we think? Were they French enough? Where were Tintin and Asterix? In the Diane room, named after the goddess of the hunt, we come upon a sculpture of 2 cute cupids and what appears to be an equally cute devil child coaxing along a bright pink pig. The title, Ushering in Banality, seems a bit of a metaphor for the whole show, and somehow I think Koons would agree. That's the point. The show is the ultimate export of American mass culture. The red lobster hanging in the Mars room spoke to me personally as a girl from Maine, but in France, maybe it should have been blue. Along a sidewall of the Mercury room, Louis XIV's bust is posed on a table underneath the portrait of the Queen. The King is more or less at the Queen's feet, with her eyes gazing down in his direction. The play on the word Mercury is clear. The bust is made of glimmering silver material, and yet the placement of the installation seems belittling. Furthermore, one might wonder, why is the Sun King in the Mercury room when the Apollo room is next door? Isn't Apollo more befitting of the greatest of all the great French kings? Certainly not. There's been a revolution at Versailles, and Koons is the new king of the chateau. Center stage, meticulously carved in bright classic white marble, head high and nobly set atop a classic pedestal, is self-portrait. By contrast, Louis XIV looks like an oversized version of an aluminum toy you'd get for a quarter in a gumball machine. Further along, in the Queen's antechamber, we find portraits of the Queen's aunts involved in light domestic tasks. The authors of these paintings were already making fun, as it's unlikely that anyone sharing the Queen's blood would actually be dusting, but Koons takes the suggestion one step further. Right in the middle of the room, we find new Hoover convertibles. It's as though to say, get to work, ladies. Indeed, the Koons revolution continues. Though in the end, I'm not sure who gets the last laugh. Koons' sculpture, with its neon lights and upright vacuums, looks retro at best, while the portraits of the dusting aunties looks much more timeless. So what will stand up better over time, Koons or Versailles? If the glass encasements surrounding most of Koons' works are any indicator, I'd have to bet on Versailles. The vast majority of Koons' works, dating from only the last 20 years or so, are installed under more glass than the Mona Lisa, whereas the great master paintings are all exposed to the element. But perhaps it's a statement. These Americans' work travel abroad in their impermeable glass houses. While most of Koons' installations are playful or ironic, one work in particular seemed generous in tone. Large vase of flowers in the Queen's bedroom added a brilliant three-dimensional blossom to the extravagant but otherwise flat florals in the wallpaper canopy in bed. Another work offering continuity was Blue Moon, installed in the famous Hall of Mirrors. Beyond the reference to Elvis, America's King, the work served as another mirror, reflecting and projecting the seemingly endless hallway. Koons just paints it blue. I left the exhibit thinking that Koons and Versailles were an unlikely pair, but one that worked well together. In fact, they kind of needed each other. On the rooftop of the Met, it was hard to get perspective on Koons' sculptures. They were at once too close and lost in the sky and urban horizon. Within the walls of history of Versailles, however, they are easier to appreciate. Thanks to the contrast, the objects are brighter, the icons sharper, and the questions more resonant. And Koons brings out the best in the chateau as well. In a sort of French Roman style, the installations provoke the curiosity of the viewer. In each room there's a message, a joke, a pun, and we look closer than we ever would have at the chateau itself to find the clues. And in this way, in Koons' treasure hunt, the ultimate treasure is not Koons' work, but the chateau itself. His pompous, irreverent, bombastic, narcissistic Versailles show is ultimately all about Versailles.